working on acute bow distribution and awareness of bow contact points and whatnot. And I said, well, as soon as you know what the answer to the piece is, you have to show me your best bow hold. Of course, you're on the inside. And so it's really super easy to see what's going on. And it's too bad that Eric's not here. Miller, is he here? His son is one of my students, and maybe I can go on a whiteboard and quickly pull up by the end of the class. They just started their bow holds, and it's bow holds taught on Zoom to a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. And they have, Eric was like totally filming and taking photos of that. So nevertheless, I find that Zoom is very good for these small nitty gritty things that we're trying to watch for with our students. I think that starting a bow hold, we don't need our bow. Uh-oh. Is that going to echo? No, we don't need our bow. And I think if the kids have exercises they build into their routine prior to starting making a sound, because as soon as you make a sound, everything else goes out the window. I mean, they start looking like this, like, you know. So one exercise I like to start with all the kids, and it feels good, is, and I call it swing, 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 bounce, bounce, bounce. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So swing, 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 bounce, 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 is you have flexibility. You've released your shoulders. Right. It just feels good to do this. It feels, I mean, we're just sitting down on our butts all day long. And you notice how soft and relaxed your hands are. And there you are. I'm ready to be playing, right? So if with the kids just start realizing that a bow hold, it does not take an enormous amount of muscle power and intensity. So I do swing, 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 and then when they do this, I say, okay, let's just focus on this hand. And if you look at your hand, I mean, look up here. I can see the relationship between my thumb and my middle finger just by looking at it like this. So if they look at you, just really in the Zoom land or with a mirror, you can really see what's happening, that things are relaxed. Nobody does this. I mean, nobody does this. I mean, they're just not going to do that because that's not what our body wants to do. And I think
Deanna, you're going to love this. I heard I was watching a bowing workshop last week, and the guy said, here's rule number 1 about the bow hold. Your hand should always look like a hand.
Right, exactly.
That's pretty brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be doing anything extraneous, and yet the kids do. I mean, they always go to making their lives more difficult. But I think if they have a routine of like, okay, because I have a section I'll go through really quick when I get there about, this is the problem, you'll see, you know, banana thumbs. What's the solution? This is the problem. We got stand-up pinkies. What's the solution? But I think the first thing is just to get them without the bow, without the pencil or the marker, without the bow, and to do that. I also like to make sure when you do these exercises, they're all done in the area that you're bowing. Because if you're doing something like this, you're not bowing over here. And I call this fist release, fist release. So it's right where we're bowing. So how do we know where we're bowing? There. I'm right there. I can cross over because this is where I'm going to be bowing. So if I do fist, so it's kind of like you can find your heart, right? I'm not going to do this mirror image for you. I'm sorry. It just messes with my brain. So if I have fist and release, so you find, I think part of it, knowing what's tension and what's not. Sometimes they're not even aware that they're tense. So if you have fist and release, and in the release, you do vibrato with kids, or you just happen to have egg shakers, you want to think that there's like a golden egg. You know, you don't want, so fist and release, a golden egg lives there. So you understand that there's a softness even to the inside of your hand. Easy, takes them 5 seconds. What if they start out? Bounce, 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 swing, 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 bounce, 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 fist release, first release. You're already patterning, things are relaxed, I also tell the children and even the littlest ones, and I think this is a giraffe, right? So a giraffe has got this long neck, and then it's got a little top on its neck. It's got those little, you know, giraffe things, whatever that giraffe thing is called. So I call it a little crown. So I either use the word giraffe or swan. And I'll tell the kids, let me get my little bottle cap, okay? And I think exercise should be what I call autotelic. Anyone that studied Montessori, autotelic means you know if it's right or wrong. Teacher doesn't have to tell you. The student knows if the exercise is correctly executed or incorrectly executed. So if you have your relaxed hand, right, and it kind of looks like a little swan head, right? So, and we're gonna just take our swan beak, we're gonna tuck it in, and I'm gonna put my swan on my heart, right? So already they know, oh, swan's got to go to my heart, but I'm going to lift up the swan so it has a little swan crown. Or if I hold up my picture of my giraffe, except this giraffe is backwards on this. Rats. I had other giraffe. The giraffe should be the other direction. You see that the giraffe has this long neck, and then there's legs are over here, but its head is over here, and there's those little pointy things on its head. So kids will always do this, right? They'll be playing like this. By helping them realize that you're just going to raise this, that brings the whole arm up into this beautiful position, into this beautiful balanced position, because no giraffe looks like that. That is not, that's a very sick giraffe. So by swing, 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 bounce, 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 make your swan, bring it to your heart. And here, you've got a little crown for your swan. And already that thumbkin is coming into the middle. You've got your golden egg, right? Oh, got a little tunnel, right? Thinking that roundness. In a little bit, we're going to go through a list. What are positive words for a bow hold? And what are words where I call them uh-oh words for a bow hold? Nicola Benedetti, you're probably familiar with the violinist. She's adorable. She's got a YouTube channel, Violin with Nikki, Basics with Nikki. And she does the same thing, but she also has them do this, right? She has the students come like this, like a kind of a scarecrow, right? So you have this same position already with, right? So, because your heart, you automatically do this. You don't have to do a thing. And there it is, right? There you are. You've got your bow arm. And then we can take something like a beanbag, right? And I've got my bow arm and I can raise and drop it. And I'm already patterning that I'm going to maintain this beautiful, healthy, balanced shape. So when I give my bow arm over to the bow, notice I'm giving my bow arm to the violin. I'm going to give my bow arm to the violin. I'm going to give my bow arm to the violin, right? So that means that the violin has a very important role. Basically, it supports your bow. So by doing this, you're crossing your midline. You're already practicing your bowing as a young student. I mean, they'll know if they're doing this correctly, because if you do this, the animal's going to fall. You're working, patterning that already, holding this softness. Nothing extraneous has happened. We've got a little bit of raise here. Arm is here. What we're noticing is that if I do Nikki's exercise and I come around, if I put my own hand here, I can support my elbow, right? And I'm supporting my weight. And if I take these fingers and I crawl here, I'm still supporting my weight. And this is still, look how loose that is. Oh my goodness gracious. I move over here, I'm still loose, right? I'm still supporting my weight. I move over here. Oh, this is getting good. So I can feel the weight of my arm and I'm balanced here. I get to here and I get to here. And I always ask my questions, what is this? Who is this? This is the violin, right? Because the violin is supporting that bow and should be getting all of that naturally released arm weight. What do they do? Right? You're working on this. They're not going to do this. Or if they do this, then they got to go back and, swan. So I think this exercise really helped. And they can do this independently in their own homes, right? Or with a partner if you were in school. But I'm assuming, Randy, this is all Zoom land, right? Okay, we're all in Zoom land. So they can feel that. Now, maybe they can't. So what do? Everyone's got a hanger. You know, when you put your pants on a hanger, the pants hang on the hanger. Same thing with you. This is not hanging on a hanger. This is hanging on a hanger. You can hang on a hanger this way, right? So you want to feel, what does it feel to release that arm weight to get that beautiful sound? If you release the arm weight here, this is not a released arm weight. I call that, that's holding my dog. My dog is Mochi. I'll let you see him in a little bit. And I say, my students are not Mochi. I'm not carrying Mochi's poo-poo bag, right? You're not. So you want to release your arm weight. And that's also a helpful thing. So those are some basic, just super perfunctory warm-ups. I'm just going to say this every section of my little chit chat with you is that mastery is repetition. Just because they did this once doesn't mean they have it. Just because they did this once doesn't mean they have it. Just that doesn't mean they did this once. My 4-year-olds, I say that they see me twice a week. So I've started some kids on Zoom. I'm terrified to do it, but I did it. I see them Mondays and Fridays for half an hour, 2 kids side by side. And I would say from Friday to Sunday, I said, I expect you to do 100 bunny rabbits. So the next thing I like to do is have the parents mark their hand. We're going to find the middle fingers right under that first phalange. I'll make a line. You've all probably done this, but it's nice to repeat. On the pinky, we make an X. On the index finger, oh, sorry about that light, a little line, a little off to the side. My thumbkin gets 2 marks. My thumbkin gets X on the, I call it the finger side corner of my thumbkin. And then I have my magic line. Right now, you see no line. Oh, there it is. That's my magic line. It disappears, it reappears. So that's my bent thumb magic line. Okay, so we got magic line. Do it this way. Thumbkin, oh, sorry. Thumbkin corner, lines here, here, here. You can't screw up. I mean, these are your lines. Now, so what I first asked them to do is, if we're going to have our thumbkins, we're going to work on that line right there. And you can have 2 people bowing to one another. So when you bow like this, right? You can bow with your mom or dad, but they're all probably independent. So you're bowing. So you're getting the idea of activating that thumbkin as a bent thumbkin, because that's what you're going to need, that bent thumbkin. Same thing, you can have that thumbkin right here. You can see in a mirror. You don't do this, right? Because there's no magic line. You don't bow like that. That's a banana thumb. So we want that inside X to come right into your arm. Now, if you can do this bowing, then I have my kids flip their hand upside down. Okay, let's see if I can. And the thumbkin's going to take that bow, and you see the X. The X is going to come meet the tall finger. And we do that bow, meet the tall finger. So if you come across with the top of your head, then you get all this twisted stuff. But if you come across, take your bow, bring that bent thumbkin to the hand, not the hand to the thumb, but thumbkin to the hand, to those 2 lines, right in between those 2 lines, flip it over. We've got our bunny. Well, this is a bunny that, crossbred with a fox. No, so this is a bunny. We have got to go to the dentist. We have bunny braces. Soften those bunny braces. You want that softness. And the little bunny ears can be a little floppy. Again, there's my spot for my golden egg. There's that roundness we had from the swan. There's my lifted wrist. Same thing. Now we've got a prepared bow hold with the thumb. They can make hundreds of bunnies. No fox, just a bunny. How do you know if it's a bunny? You practice making foxes to bunnies. All right, that's a good action to have, because all of our joints should be flexible when we're holding a bow anyway, fox to bunny. You got to make 100 bunnies. I don't think that's an unreasonable demand. If I can have a 4-year-old make 100 bunnies, your 4th grader can make 100 bunnies in a week, right? So X 100 bunnies. So now that bunny, I prefer, because I have kind of arthritic hands, a marker. So I'm going to take my bunny and I'm going to hang him over here, and he's going to be hungry and he's going to eat his little carrot. He's going to come in here, and then he's going to put one bunny ear on top and one's going to flop over. Already, I have my bow hold. My bunny's going to hang. He's going to take a little bite. He's going to take that bow and bring that X in. You can see that X coming in right there. Where's it coming in? Right where you would have made your little bunny. Drop one rounded ear, one down here. Then I would practice something called flip it over. I call it roly-poly. This is where they understand that there should be motion. You're not frozen. And I have them do roly-polies. We're going to transfer all these games to the bow. I also have them do teeter-totters. So they understand that this is the fulcrum and this is the safety, like the safety belt that keeps things organized. And I'm going to teeter-totter, and we start to feel some flexibility across the joints. Again, you're noticing that this is flat. You can't do this. You got a banana finger. That's just not going to work. Hang, bring that X in, round your pinky. That's one of your rounded ears. Sometimes I call that the candy cane. Looks like a little candy cane. And your index finger. And we practice teeter-totters, and we practice roly-poly. You see that? If this happens, I lost my line. I've got to get back in there. Do these kids know about angles? I don't know what fourth graders know, but it's a 45-degree angle. A 90-degree angle is like this. If you had a 90-degree angle, what do you get? You're in Russia, you have a Russian bow hold. Okay, we're doing Franco-Belgian bow holds. So you're gonna have a 45-degree, then you can even show them on a graph. What does 45 degrees look like? Tap 1, tap 4, tap 2. If you're out of balance, you can't do this. Tap 1, tap 4, tap 2. The same thing we will do on the big kid bow hold, on that big, on a bow. But if you can do this here, then you can transfer them. There's less invested in a marker than a bow, right? And also you're not dealing with all that added weight on the frog and the tip. So you have a balanced position, so then you can have that relaxed arm. All right. So with these bow taps here, Joshua Bell studied with Mimi Zweig, and I had the pleasure of working with her too. Some of you may have studied with Mimi. And so I always call this, I tell my students, it's Joshua Bell exercise. With the marker, you can do it here. You can do it here. You could do it at an angle. You could do it upside down. Can you tap that index finger? Because we all know that that index finger becomes this death grip, right? Or it stands up like this, or it leans in, right? So we want to make sure that we've got no clutching. Have them do it all over the place in any position, because this is not going to give you any added weight. Bowing gymnastics is what I call the next thing. Zoom is great. Okay, and we're going to do this with real bows so you can go up and down, and I can see that I'm parallel. I'm seeing up and down, and I say, and I usually put on some like Three Little Birds by Bob Marley, and we're going we're doing these exercises back and forth. Much more fun with music. That's the thing about a lot of the games. If you have music and you can rhythmically generate them, absolutely these bow games are done with a musical soundtrack behind them. They can see going side to side. Then we can go from this corner to that corner, because that's like setting the bow. All your exercises have to have a purpose. We're not doing games to entertain anybody for the sake of entertainment. So if you're setting the bow, coming from this, you're not going this way because you don't play this way. You're playing this way. And then if you can go from here to here, from here to here, E string to G string. And they can see where their bow is going to be. Up and down, side to side, setting the bow, setting on the A string, setting on the G string, string crossing. And you can use the frame of your Zoom window. When we were talking about this, I have them do the eensy weensy spider went up the water spout. Out came the rain, So once again, if you're not in balance, you can't do that. But we work on the eensy weensy tarantula. A lot harder.
Ah.
A lot harder to do because all of a sudden, oh, banana, stop. And if something is not working, it's like I call it an uh-oh, or I call it information. Like, oh, that's wrong. All of a sudden, no, what happened? Oh, information, banana. Okay. I need to go back to my magic line and I can practice that. So if I've got my fancy cup and we're working on tip control, this is my bow hand, and I just need to be able to control my tip. And do this with the bow too, right? Because you'll see, you want to have good tip control. You want to have enough solidness that you can shake your bow this way, shake your bow this way. If a fun game I like the kids to do too is, I call it, where's my other pen? Just had it here. Oh, for the thumb. Thumb is usually the culprit, right? Thumb causes a lot of problems. As soon as thumb causes problems, pinky causes problems. Or if pinky goes straight, thumb goes banana. If thumb goes banana, pinky goes straight. These two guys, troublemakers. But if you have a pen, you can get your bow hold here and you can practice shooting your pen cap. That way you feel this engagement in that corner. So you can shoot your pen cap.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So yeah, they can, and they'll do that because kids don't want a game. I mean, who doesn't want to shoot pen caps? And you can have a target. You know, can you shoot it in your shoebox? Ooh, can you shoot it at your friend? I'm going to shoot this one at Randy. There you go, Randy. All right, this is going at Randy. Oh, well, I don't know if this will work. No, 2-0. Or the soccer marble game. This they have to do on their own. I can start them. It's again engaging that thumb. I've got a marble here, and they'll have to do this on their own. And you shoot the marble. Then you get more fancy, and you've got to shoot the marble you've got in your bow hold through the cave. See, can you see this? This is so hard. So shooting the marble, which is rolling away. I'm going to put a little monster here instead. So I'm going to shoot the monster. And I should end up with this. Oh, there it is. Okay. So these shooting games, especially, they might have to start like this. Right? If there's an adult, they can help activate this action. Otherwise, making the cave, shoot, and there you are, inside. A couple more games before we get our bows out. Chopsticks. Noodles will give you these. Noodles and Company. Noodles. Okay, cheap chopsticks. Same thing. Let's go this way. This is the easy way. This is the hard way, right? So you want to make, because this is more work to work here. So that's where we're going to put our thumb, and we're going to practice. Same thing. We're going to feel the relationship about this unified middle. And you're also going to feel that the thumb is doing the work. We're not going to, if you imagine trying to get the first finger to press, that's really hard to do, right? The activation of a good bow hold is the opposition, down and up. But this thumb has to stay engaged. And then this pinky, if it falls down, right?
Where did you get the where did you get the gizmo on the chopstick?
Free. Noodles and Company. They have them in a bowl when you check out. Actually, I just went in there and I said, can I have a handful of these?
Oh,
Noodles and Company. It's free.
Oh.
It comes off like this. They have them in little packages.
Could you also, I'm sorry, could you also do this with a stapler?
You could do it with cork and a stapler. I suppose you could do a stapler.
Or they
I have not
too
thought
big,
of that,
maybe.
but yeah, a cork and a rubber band with 2 chopsticks. These are just the cheap stuff you get from, these are not expensive chopsticks. but here I am.
What are those things that that if I go into Noodles and ask them for that, what is that called?
These are I just call them they help you do they help you put the chopstick holder thingies.
They're kids
For
chopstick
children.
cheaters.
Chopstick, yeah, whatever, Heather, yeah, something like that. But they
Oh,
usually
okay.
have them in the front when you check out.
Chopstick training wheels.
Chopstick training wheels. But they're really great because you really get a sense, and all of a sudden you've gotten off of the big this one or a pen or pencil. I find bigger markers are just easier. You get better control. But then this is really great. You could be like watching TV or watching Netflix. La 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 la. Right, one. Da, 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 da. Except again, if they're doing something rhythmically, right? If you reverse it, then you're working this side of your hand. It's the same thing with working, you know, here. That's really hard to do. There's a way to do it this way. Oh, this way. Oh, that's like, oh my gosh. That's hard. This is easier.
Doesn't that create a lot of tension? Don't we want to use weight or not? So
Right. But so I wouldn't do this with kids. That was an adult thing I had seen. This is there's no tension here. This is like, you just feel a little resistance, but you're absolutely right. That would create tension. That's for that. There was someone I watched a YouTube that someone had a real problem. I think maybe they were doing their left hand pinky. They just couldn't get it. I find this is very challenging. All right, so let's get a toilet paper tube out. Again, a beautiful bow hold with the pinky on top. Everybody's got a toilet paper tube. It's just encouraging that roundness. So I went through a list and I said round, relaxed, not fixed, curved, soft, flat crown, open, released, balanced, comfortable, flexible. Come up with a list with your students of adjectives. And then the uh-ohs are like locked, stiff, insecure, right? If you're falling off things, inflexible, uncomfortable, restricted, tense, clutching, rigid, sharp angles, mountainous, blocked, right? So if they have the soft, warm, round words and the angled words, right? So they have something to describe what's going on in their bow hold. With a bow, when you give them the bow, they need to know the names of the bow. They need to know what this thing is. They need to know this is the stick, right? So they all have a common vocabulary. This is the tip, right? This is the hairs, our wrapping, our pad, our ferrule, our frog, our adjusting screw. So it becomes familiar, because if you say, okay, grab it by, hold your bow by the stick, right? They'll know, or I want you to, work your adjusting screw. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. I loosen my bow when I put it away. I tighten my bow when I start to play. A little poem to get the kids to remember to loosen and tighten their bows. So they're familiar with their instrument. The other thing I like the students to know, and I'm going to use my big girl bow hold. Bow is dividing their bow, that they know there's a middle. They know there's a balance point. They know there's a tip. I might have, because we're gonna do some bow Olympics games. I know I'm working my middle to tip. I'm working my balance point area. I'm working lower half. I'm working upper half. I'm working middle. I find it's very
Deanna, what are you
important.
sticking on your bow? What is that you're
Those
putting on?
are,
hair clip.
these are these
okay.
tiny hair clips, but there's only one kind that really work. Goodies. These goodie 24 pack cost you $2 on Amazon. So all my students get 4, and they have to, when we do bow scales, whatever, they know they're doing bow division stuff. So these are very light, and they won't touch the strings. They won't touch the hair. So these are goodie. The other kind, the bigger ones will not work. So I use goodies. You don't want to buy goodies? Use a sticky note, right? Or cut them up. I'm at the upper half. I'm at the middle. I'm at my balance point. So not only should they know the parts of their bow, but they should know the division of the bow that you'll be using. So that just becomes a vocabulary right away. Because kids will go, oh, I'm just starting to play. Well, no, I want you to start at the balance point. I want you to start at the tip. And I use push bow and pull bow. I do not use down bow and up bow. Because this is not down and up. I use push and pull. The French, anyone speak French? Tirer and what's the other one? Tirer and pousser? Pousser, thank you. Thank you, okay. All right, so now we get the big kid bow hold. I'm gonna use my little one here. I do start my kids with an outside bow hold. You may not wanna do that, but I'm gonna work through. And so we've got this, our little line still. And I say, all right, find your wrapping and find your frog. In between there is a little area. Your bow might be brown, you might be black, whatever color bow you happen to have. That's a special area, and I call that the train station. And so I have the kids feel, you use your violin hand, they're going to drag the train along the tracks. Well, there's tracks right there. You're going to keep the train along the tracks. And when you get to in between tall and ring finger, you're going to say stop. So they like doing that, the choo 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 stop. I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. Sorry. We go this way. And stop. The conductor takes a bow because he's a very fine musician, and all musicians must bow. So yeah, I know it's kind of backwards, David. I'm like, oh, I have to do it I'm going to do it the normal way. So you have a bow hand out, which is your right hand. You've got your tip coming from west to east. And so it's going to come along, and you're feeling that contact that you would have felt from your hanger coming across, and you say stop. Conductor takes a bow. You're going to come in with that X. There's my X. Half on the ferrule, half on the hair. It's opposite that finger. I'm going to flip my bow up to the ceiling and put my caboose on top. They don't seem to have any problem with that. Train tracks. Conductor takes a bow. That X comes into the hair and the ferrule. That's 45-degree angle. The bow goes up. Pinky on top is a caboose. And we hold our bow. We don't do this because that's a lot of weight. I always start this way. So that's one. I call this that's a choo-choo train bow hold, right? And make sure the conductor can, wave at everybody. Hello, hi, right? The other thing I call is tick-tock. I want them to find that spot. They're not going to find it on their fingertips. They're not going to find it here, but I call this tick-tock, right? And so we find this, and again, you're already in this position. You're already in this position. You get that thumbkin, comes in with that 45-degree angle, adjust the pinky over the dot. Another beautiful bow hold. They can do froggy hops. Froggy hop, froggy hops, pinky. Here comes the froggy, like that. Comes in right there. And you can see that really well. There's that bent thumb. I say crossing guards. Stop. Put the pinky. Roll the bow. Thumbkin in. And we're right there. I'm good. Stop. Pinky at its crossing station right there. Roll the bow. And we're in. So the other thing is I name these fingers, and I stole this from Megalyn Fear in Oak Park. She says, this is the scuba diver, whether the scuba diver is in here or here. This is the scuba diver on the bottom of the swimming pool. This is the lifeguard. The lifeguard has the highest position, so the lifeguard can be watching over everybody. This is the children sitting on the edge of the pool, splashing their little feet. So obviously that's their little bums, and they're splashing their little feet. Got scuba diver, lifeguard, and this is lazy lounger, right? That's your mom or dad or, you know, caregiver or whoever with their expensive $12 magazine on their lounge chair, not going to get wet or splashed. They're just relaxing, okay? They're totally chilling out with a lemonade or an adult beverage, okay? Lazy lounger, splashing feet, lifeguard, scuba diver. Now, when the thumbkin goes inside, the scuba diver does not go in the cave, right? The scuba diver is not going to go in the cave. The scuba diver will get right in there. Splashing feet, lifeguard, lazy lounger. Lounger's even a little bit on their side. Lazy lounger. And the lounger can just tap, tap, tap. Again, always the bow hold up and down. So my kids start out here. Then they move to balanced bow holds. Do the same thing. Do the same thing here. We find the balance point. So I would have marked the balance point with a piece of tape. At the point they're in the balance point, they're making their inside bow hold. Thumbkin comes in. Again, the thumbkin is on their side of the bow. The thumbkin sticks out, is on your side of the bow. And there's my X, there's my banana. So thumbkin is on their side of the bow, finding that X at the balance point, bringing in those, looks like our bunny rabbit again, coming over, up and down. At this point, the bow weighs nothing. And it's interesting though, when you play, even on these cheaper violins, if you're playing out here, and I play games with the kids when they play, maybe on Zoom it'll be harder to hear the tonal quality, is that they can hear the difference in their sound once the thumb is on the inside of the balance point. Then I let them play like that for a week, and then I say, okay, now we're gonna move down to the wood meets the wrapping. So we move down. Now they're starting to feel a little bit more weight. So Pinky, the lifeguard's got to work a little bit harder. A week goes by, we go wrapping to the pad, right? And then finally, where the train station was. So that, for my kids, it takes about 5 weeks. You know, they're here for a long time because once again, they start at age 3, right? And their hands are, and then we move to here for a week, move here, and then we're now big kids. One trick that if the kids are having a hard time with this and then they're inside, I put the pinky into the basement. That's a Simon Fisher trick. There's no way that these fingers are going to pop up if your pinky's in the basement eating Cheetos and watching, you know, Netflix. So pinky can go in the basement. Not for a long time, but it'll give them the sensation of like, oh yeah, I've got to keep my fingers right here. If they have a spread eagle bow hold, right? Then I call it Joshua Bell. I put them here. We walk our fingers. We walk them, and the fingers will realign, right? We walk them until you're comfortable. They're gonna realign. So the kids know that there's gonna be different spaces. The biggest space probably is between 1 and 2. Second biggest space is between pinky and the third finger. This is a mail slot or an arrow slit in a castle. So they're realizing that there are going to be spaces just like in your normal hand, but you're going to have a larger space here, second larger, and just a little arrow slit, because you've seen kids do that. That is not a mail slot. Okay, you got to close your mail slot, right? So knowing that there are going to be 3 spaces, but what, you know, the size that you want to generate on that. So spread eagle, right? That's tension. When you walk with stiff knees. Tell them to walk with stiff knees. You're not very good. Same thing, you can't play the violin with stiff joints. You're going to have 14 contact points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 flexible joints in this bow hold. Okay. There should be, sometimes I've even taken little markers and made little dots, kind of like, you know, find all the contact points, 14 of them. If one goes bad here, we lose a lot. We lost a lot of, or if thumb goes flat like this, we lose a lot of those contact points. All of a sudden we've got stiff knees. So knowing that there's contact points. You can also just hold the and do some hand waves, right? You can't wave your hand if your fingers are flat, tight. It's just not going to work. So doing some waves like this because you don't wave like that, right? You wave like this. Hi. Same thing. Go back to something that they normally do with their bodies. They wave. Very rare person that does that, right? So, or you bounce a ball. There, I'm holding my bow here. I'm bouncing my ball. I'm already making that contact. You don't bounce a ball like this or this. When my kids are doing vibrato, I have them do what I call juggling. I put them on a knee, supported for vibrato here, but the other hand is also busy. They're supporting themselves, but they're bouncing this way. There's that bow hold again, and that's being supported, just like we supported here, because that's what the violin is doing. It's supporting the arm as we play the violin. So same thing. There's my bow arm. Speaking of which, you can ask the kids, well, where does your bow hold or bow arm start? And I'll go right here, right here. I believe it starts in your back, shoulder, arm, forearm, wrist, fingers. So the bow arm is this whole thing. I had a teacher trainer once said, this is your tip, this is your middle, and this is your frog. So thinking bigger than just here. Let them know that this, it goes all the way. So speaking of that kind of work, so I just want to take care of the, so we have the spread, what I call the spread eagle, rebalance. Same thing, you wouldn't do this. You can walk the fingers over and your hand will find that rebalanced position. If you've got this banana thumb, go back and practice roly-polies. Start retraining roly-polies. If you're holding the bow like this, like a dirty poo-poo bag, okay, then you need to either connect your lines, hang from something. Stiff pinky, well, then we go back to here and we're just going to do pinky taps with your bow straight up and down. You need to do your pinky taps because this you can't do. You'll see that this is incorrect. You need to have your rounded pinky taps. Joints. Once they have their bow, here's my bow. This is a lot of work. This is handy. Regina Carter. I mean, all right. So this is really great because you're in a groove. All right. And there's no way you're going to be bowing crooked, right? You're going to find this position. This is so great. Everybody's at the frog. Nobody's freaked out at the frog, right? There we are, giraffe swan, middle, frog, middle, tip, upper half, lower half, balance point, right? So using this is super easy and it's free, right? And they're going to start learning how to track. My little ones like to play gondola. So I've got this taped. I've got a string and a toilet paper tube. Oh, because we're not holding a bow yet. So we just hold, the parent will do this, but I've got this. I gotta move this over. Oopsies. Okay, sorry. So here they are. They can be practicing a very, very rudimentary bow hold, but they're also practicing bowing in front, at the tip, in the middle, right? And they're at the frog. You're going to start to feel that there's a change in your bow hold because if you kept this position, your frog position at the tip, that's very uncomfortable. Things start, actually, I start to go like this. So you're going to have that, they're going to naturally find this. Now, I also have them doing on a broom handle. We'll have the broom handle like a bass, right? So you got your broom handle right here, moving up and down that broom handle. You got the roundness of the broom handle, you got the roundness of the hand. You've got your bow. You can do the same thing on your bow, up and down. Keep crossing that midline to do your bowing. These are helpful. These little houses, right? Corn cushions. What also works just as well is, where's my rubber band? I just had a little rubber band here. Must have fallen down. Just a little elastic I'll put so you feel something, an elastic, and you don't slip off. I don't know where my rubber band went. Sorry. But just a tiny rubber, and everybody's got a little rubber band at home. The other thing I was talking with my kids too is when we're playing here on the violin, and with the outside bow hold, you're really limited to only playing to the balance point, right? Because you're going to hit your instrument, especially if you're maintaining a nice crown, right? So here, I tell the kids that who's got a garage. We're in the garage, so I have them set the car in the garage. This is the garage. This is the driveway. You haven't made it in the garage. So we'll practice driving and getting in the garage. And when we get in the garage, we want to make sure we've got that bent thumb. You can be a show off and come out. If this is all balanced, they can come out and tap their thumb and come in. Tap their thumb and come in. If they're not balanced, we got a hot mess. They can be superstars. La, 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 la. Right? You're in a state of balance and they put everybody back in. But this really makes sense to them. If they're bowing here and you can't get your kids to garage, you're not in the garage. Get in the garage. And if we're in the garage, I've got my swan, right? With the little, never gonna get in the garage like that. Can't get in there. So you've got to have that nice position, the swan at the heart. We do a lot of, I label these for you. Middle, let's call this tip. I'll say bowing Olympics, frog, tip, middle, balance point, middle, tip. I'm doing this with my book 4 Vivaldi concerto class. They're all working on, and then let's connect. Let's go balance point to middle, middle to frog, frog to tip, tip to middle, middle to frog, frog to balance point to frog, right? So they're really they're aware of what they're doing, how they're controlling their bow and what their bow hold is feeling at all the different parts. I mean, there's a lot of more sophisticated exercises we do for where the weight transfers, but I think that this is a pretty good start. 3 questions I always ask the students. Where in the bow are you? How much bow are you using? And what kind of bow? Where in the bow? Are you in the lower half? Are you in the upper half? Are you in the middle? Are you at the balance point? How much bow am I using? And am I using a smooth or stop bow? You have to make those decisions because you're making a decision on what kind of sound you're creating. And I think if you train the kids right away to be thinking in those terms, you're going to get superior results. And they're going to be like, wow, I'm sounding pretty good.
How do you say your third question again?
What? The 3 questions. And I also read them that book, the 3 questions book by John Muth. Flora was there when that all happened. You were there, right? I asked them, where in the bow are you? How much bow are you using? And what kind of bow? Solves a lot of problems in terms of their sound production and just their investedness. Besides, I'm going to be playing now. No. Where are you in the bow? I'm going whole bow. I'm going to work upper half. I'm using a legato sound. So that's what I got for you folks. I hope some things were helpful, new, thought-provoking, or you're like, no, I would never do that, or I think I might try that, or I would expand on that.
I got a couple things, but I'll let you guys jump in if you have some questions because we got a couple minutes here.
I wasn't even watching the clock.
Yeah, you got to teach soon, but questions, something along, because I wrote down all these strategies. I literally have them all written down, but if there was something that was unclear, like what's the point of that thing that you showed when this is
right?
Anybody?
Because hopefully they're not pointless.
So one of the things that I just want to highlight, I put it in my notes from this session, is this emphasis, and it's the your Montessori training that's coming through here, but Montessori is very much about creating independence, independent thinkers. The kid solves their own problems. And I think, you know, and you guys have heard me preach this, and this is also very Zaretta Hammond, like if we want to bridge the equity gap, we have to teach kids how to teach themselves, right? To how to solve their own problems, that they can't just always be dependent on us. And a lot of the things that you saw today were like giving them language, giving them these 3 questions and cycling through these 3 questions all the time. Where in the bow are you? How much bow are you using? These things that are just, these questions are going to be with them the rest of their string playing life.
Right. So these questions, I do the same games with, I've got kids playing Sibelius. Okay.
It's the same issues.
We do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'll say the same thing. And nobody's like going, oh, Deanna. I'm like, all right.
Because these are the questions
out.
that solve the problems. These are the only questions that solve the problems. It's not like there's 100 questions. There's really a handful. The other thing I want to point out is what we saw was like what works on Zoom, right? And this idea, like doing bow Olympics, I was thinking that's something you can watch every kid do it. They all need to have their screens alive, and you can all do it together, right? And you can actually see, as long as it's a 30-second game, you know, it's not like a 5-minute activity. It's just a quick thing, but it is something that works really great on Zoom, just as well on Zoom as it would in your classroom. So I think if you were paying attention, there's a ton of things here that they work just as well on Zoom as they do.
But this is so good. Forward, back. And everything's rhythmic. They love this. Like, look, 5 kids are like grooving on it. Right? And you can see what's going on. So adding music is really helpful because, but as soon as you got a steady beat and it's not a classical tune, oh, you're like, oh yeah, right? Or can you play that don't worry, right? Something to engage them musically. Dry exercises are just dry exercises. Boring. What was that song? That was 3 Little Birds by Bob Marley.
Oh,
cool. Terry loves that song.
Yeah. Anything that's got a driving rhythm is going to help them. All right, like eensy weensy spider. If you said, okay, let's pick up your fingers, they're not engaged, but it's even that silly song. Da-dum, ba-ba-ba-ba, cha. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Cha. Right? Musical engagement. Music should motivate our exercises. So if you're doing the toilet paper tube, you're doing, I don't know what you're teaching, lightly roll, beam, boom, beam, beam, boom, beam. You're driving that tram along, lightly roll.
Oh, driving the tram, yeah.
Driving the tram.
Levi wants to know, where do you put the bow stickers? Balance point, middle, and tip?
Well, yeah, so the bow stickers, I have them middle, and I use the bow's middle. Balance point, the bow's balance point, and then up here near the tip, depending on how long their arm is. Some kids, this tip may be a little moved, depending if they, I don't want anyone hyperextending. And then if you're here, there's nowhere you can put one of these for the frog. You just know that it's going to be down in this very precious high real, I call this real, this is the best real estate ever. Okay. You want to use your, you know, this is expensive real estate, and everybody's afraid to buy that. Everybody's like real comfortable with this cheap real estate up here, right? Easy to play at the tip. Nobody wants to get down here. And that's usually because you've got a lot of imbalance problems. But yeah, so you want to use all the real estate below the balance point. Images. Talk to these kids in images. They'll remember foxes and bunnies. They'll remember lazy lounger, you know, reading their $12 Vogue magazine, you know.
Yeah, this is great. This is really, really great. So
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Oh, you're most welcome. This is fun for me because I tried a lot of these out on my students all week long to make sure that everything works, because I thought, oh, better make it work. Yeah, and I did my book 4 classes. Like, oh my God, what are we doing today? I'm like, we're doing bow games.
Well, 40 years of tricks shows when we all get to see them. So
Don't make me that old.
Okay, 20 years of bow games.
Okay. All right.
Yana, we'll
Thank you
have,
so much for having me and being here on your Wednesday. Go and get some sunshine and some fresh air. I'm stuck teaching. I'm not stuck. I'm honored that I have the luxury of having a job and teaching till 7 o'clock tonight. But so great. Peace out. Bye.
thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, you guys.